After last year's controversial end to the MVP race, with Joel Embiid beating out Giannis and Nikola Jokic, despite the majority of NBA fans and analysts believing Jokic and Giannis both had significantly better seasons, Embiid has come out this year and put on an absolute show through the first half of the season. Embiid is off to a historic start through the first half of the season, averaging a 35-point double-double with averages of 35 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 6 assists a game, and has led the 76ers to the third seed in the Eastern Conference. He's looked dominant throughout the season, and despite missing a number of games due to various injuries, many analysts think he's been the best player throughout the entire NBA for the first half of the season. He's averaging more points and assists per game than he ever has before, and he just matched up against the NBA's other elite center in Nikola Jokic, and Embiid put up 41 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. A 40-point, 10-assist game is a masterclass for any player, but especially for Joel Embiid, who is not known for his passing ability, and especially against the other elite center in the NBA in Nikola Jokic. The 76ers did end up winning that game, and that kind of put the narrative to bed that Embiid doesn't show up against Nikola Jokic. Despite him not playing in the past couple of matchups versus Jokic, he came out this game and really dominated the game. Jokic did fine, and he put up good stats as well, but the showcase here really was Embiid and his dominance. Embiid has led the NBA in scoring the past 2 seasons, but this year he's taken it to another level. He's scoring both in high volume and with great efficiency, and in the last 38 years, only 2 players have averaged more points than Embiid so far this season. That was James Harden in 2018-19 and Kobe Bryant in 2005-2006. Both Kobe and Harden are considered to be 2 of the greatest scorers of all time, and for Embiid to be in the conversation with them is a huge milestone for him. He's also scoring efficiently, shooting nearly 54% from the field and 36% from the three-point line. I can't understate how impressive it is for a center to be scoring at such a high volume and impressive efficiency halfway through a season. This rise in efficiency and volume this season has given rise to the question if Embiid can win his second straight MVP award. Last year, like I said before, his win was very controversial, as many people thought that the MVP should have been given to either Nikola Jokic or Giannis Antetokounmpo. But this year, I think that as of right now, he should be the MVP frontrunner, or at least in the top 2. There can be arguments made for guys like Luka Doncic or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but Joel Embiid has to be up there with how much he's led his team to victories, as well as also averaging the highest points per game in a long time, since 2018-2019 with James Harden. But for a big man, it's unprecedented for a big man to be scoring this well and this efficiently for so long and for such a long period of time. While Embiid's scoring has been the main focus of his MVP conversations and of most of the NBA talk around him, I think that his playmaking has been very overlooked this season. His assists per game has risen to 5.9 when his previous career high was 4.2. He's averaging nearly 2 assists per game, more than any other season in his career, and this facet of his game is crucial as he continues to try to make a deep playoff run. Now, when he faces double teams, he's much more able to pass out of a double team and find cutting teammates for easy layups or open threes. He has talented teammates in Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris, and getting them open shots and finding them for easy buckets is a huge weapon for Embiid and the Sixers. If they want to make a deep playoff run, there has to be effective and efficient secondary scoring from Maxey, Harris, and others on the team, but Embiid is a focal point of this offense, and he has to be a good facilitator of the offense, whether that be scoring the basketball or finding the open man out of double teams. Also, when he's able to pass more, teams have to respect his passing ability, and they won't be able to double team him as much because they know that he'll be able to pass out of it and find the open man. Teams cannot double team a guy like Nikola Jokic in the post because they know that Jokic has eyes in the back of his head and is able to find players that they don't even see, much less him who he's facing away from. So if Embiid can even continue averaging about 6 assists per game and be a very good passer, this team could be very good offensively because of the multifaceted game that he's been able to develop this season. On another note, I think that the main criticism of Joel Embiid has been the lack of playoff success for him throughout the past few years of his career, especially having all-star teammates in before Ben Simmons and then James Harden, and now Tyrese Maxey is looking like an all-star level player, and you have Tobias Harris around you. You used to have Jimmy Butler at one point. He's had loaded teams, but he hasn't been able to be the focal point of a team that has been able to go on a deep playoff run. But I think that this year is the best chance that they have, especially with the 76ers being noted as buyers at the trade deadline. And I think that one player that he can pick up is Bojan Bogdanovic, who is still over a 40% three-point shooter and is an elite player at his role, which is catch and shoot threes, which is something that the 76ers desperately need when they have a guy in Tyrese Maxey who can drive and kick, and you have Joel Embiid who's going to attract a lot of attention inside the paint and is, like I said, becoming a better passer and can kick the ball out to a guy like Bojan who can knock down threes. But adding Bojan Bogdanovic would be a huge addition to this team, and I think it would really help the 76ers make a deep playoff run. But I also don't think that a lack of playoff success should hinder his chances at an MVP, just because it still is a regular season award. It's not naming the best player in basketball, it's naming the most valuable player throughout that regular season alone. So I think that this year, Joel Embiid has to at least get recognition as a top 3 player. And if he can continue scoring the ball as efficiently as he has been and playing the way he has, while playing the minimum 65 games to be eligible for an award, I think you have to at least give some consideration to Joel for an MVP award, or at least a consideration. It is hard to imagine the 76ers making that deep playoff run this year, though, just because of the depth in the Eastern Conference at the top. The Boston Celtics have one of the most loaded rosters we've seen in a number of years, both offensively and defensively, and through about 1 through 7 in the lineup, all of these guys could be starters on almost any team in the NBA. You have guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown at the top. You traded for guys like Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday in the offseason. You have a guy in Derek White that could be getting all defensive team recognition. And then you have Al Horford, who hasn't been the same player this year, but is still a solid center. The Boston Celtics are obviously the team to beat in the Eastern Conference, and it's hard to pick the 76ers against them in a first or second round matchup. But this team could overcome them if they play the right way and if they get the right pieces at the trade deadline. Adding a guy like Bojan Bogdanovic would really help them against the Celtics, but it's really hard to see them actually pulling out a 7-game series win against the Boston Celtics. Then if you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, the Bucks added Damian Lillard in the offseason, and Chris Middleton, by the time the playoffs come around, shouldn't be on the same minutes restriction that he's been on most of the season. So if both teams are healthy in the Celtics and the Bucks, it's really hard to see the 76ers making that deep playoff run. But if Joel Embiid can play like the MVP candidate that he is and continue the level of dominance he's put up throughout the first half of the season, I won't count the 76ers out against any single team. But if Joel Embiid wants to cement his legacy as a top center in this league and a great center in NBA history, he's going to have to eventually overcome the challenges of making it past the second round and eventually winning an NBA championship. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the playoffs this year, because he's often shrunk in the playoffs. But at the same time, this season he's been playing like he's never played before and is more dominant than any other season in his entire career, and has added the facilitation part of his game. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you think that the 76ers can make a deep playoff run. And yeah, God bless you all. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, because I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by April. God bless you all.